Bethany.
Commissioner Harlow,
Here.
Commissioner Curry. Here. Commissioner Kurlenberger,
Here.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Here.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Here.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Here.
Commissioner Fiasconi. Here. Commissioner Moore.
Here.
Chairman Cashman.
Here. Next order of business would be public comment for any non-agenda items. Is there anyone here speaking on an issue not on our agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next order of business, approval of minutes from our May 8th, 2024 meeting. Do the commissioners have any requests, revisions, additions?
No.
You good, Julie?
Yes, I had one revision under findings and recommendation. This was for the short-term rentals. So the fourth sentence at the, from the bottom up, Commissioner Cernovich asked for a revision in the transcript to correct Mr. Richard's name. And I think it's, I forgot my notes there.
You got it wrong twice?
Yes. It should be, I think the person who was here was Rec.
Yeah, I saw the email.
It should be, according to the transcript, it said Richard Rack was his name, and it should be Richard Reck,
How do you spell it?
R-E-C-K.
Okay.
And we have the transcript updated. It's just
Oh,
the minutes
okay.
were incorrect. So thank
Okay.
you. We'll get those corrected.
Okay, thank you.
Any other revisions or additions? Hearing none, can I hear approval of the minutes with that change? Do I have a motion?
Kurlenberger, so motions.
Curry, second.
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow,
Abstain.
Commissioner Curry,
Aye.
Commissioner Kurlenberger,
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi,
Abstain.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Chairman Cashman.
Aye. Our next order of business are public hearings. We have two. Our first case, A-3-2024, landscaping and screening standards, text amendment to section 9-107, will be continued to the July 10th, 2024 Plan Commission meeting. Do I have a motion to continue case A-3-2024 to the July 10th, 2024 meeting?
So moved, Moore.
Second, Cernovich?
Roll call, or vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Curry,
Aye.
Commissioner Kurlenberger,
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Chairman Cashman.
Aye. Our second public hearing is case A-14-2024, 5891 to 5911 South County Line Road, Hinsdale Paddle Tennis Association. Special use permit amendment to allow for expansion of an existing membership sports and recreation club and exterior appearance site plan review to allow for the installation of two paddle tennis courts at KLM Park located at 5891 to 5911 South County Line Road in the OS Open Space District. Do I have someone here from the applicant?
Yes.
And do we have anyone who wants to speak on this matter? Could you please rise and we'll swear you in?
And before we swear them in, can we have a motion to
Oh,
open the
can we have a
public
motion
hearing?
to open the public hearing?
Jablonski moves.
Wait a second.
Second, Willoughby.
Roll call vote, please. Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Curry,
Aye.
Commissioner Kurlenberger,
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Chairman Cashman.
Aye. Welcome.
Thank
Now,
you.
anyone who would like to speak on the matter, if you'd raise your hand.
Just raise your right hand. You and each of you just have to swear that the testimony about you speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's your dad.
Yes. Kevin Parks,
Here,
yes.
I'll get it when you.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, thanks for having us. I'm Kevin Parks, and I'm a board member at HPTA, the Hinsdale Platform Tennis Association. We're here to propose and give you a summary of our proposal to add 2 new courts to the existing platform tennis facility over at KLM Park in the southeast corner of KLM Park, where there are presently 6, so we're proposing 2 more courts that would make 8. I have along with me, for moral and factual support if necessary, a number of my colleagues either board members of HPTA or on our board of advisors, Abby Wenstrup, Kelly Kelly and her husband Joe, Marty Brennan, Jack McMillan. Marty is a past president of the association and has a lot of historical contacts, and he's also been in charge of our neighbor outreach program on our current proposal. So Marty can speak to those issues as appropriate. I want to say thanks to the staff, to Bethany, for helping us move our proposal along in these last number of months. We've been working closely with Bethany and other village staff members, and in the hopes that by the time we reach this point and formally presenting our proposal, that we will have looked around a lot of the corners and seen a lot of the potential obstacles and issues that could come up with a proposal like this. And I think we've done that, and I want to thank Bethany for helping in doing that and getting our application in place in the way that it is. I'll be brief tonight. I wanted to make note of a few key points in our proposal. But before I do that, if you'll allow me to just give a little bit of personal and historical context. I've been a resident of Hinsdale for almost 30 years now. And for 20 of those years, I've been involved in the paddle tennis community. And it's been a godsend to me, both physically in the way of getting exercise, getting out and about and getting exercise, not only in the summer months, it's a year-round sport these days, but in the winter months when our primary league play is in place. And to be outdoors with, on those crisp fall and winter nights has just been a real benefit physically. But it's also been such a great social community for me, like none other that I've been a part of as an adult. Every time you're on the platform tennis court, you're with at least 3 other colleagues, and they are like-minded people who are generally interested in the same things. They don't have the same perspective necessarily that you do on everything, but it's a great community, a solid community where I've made such great, long-lasting friendships now through that community that I'm very thankful for. So I evangelize for the sport any chance that I can get, because for those reasons, it's great for body and soul. So I'm pleased to be a part of the community. And in the last 5 years or so, I've been a board member at HPTA, so I've been able to contribute in that regard as well. And I've appreciated my time there and working with the village on this and other projects. A little bit more generally, the state of paddle tennis in Hinsdale, I'm pleased to say, is simply excellent. We HPTA, in cooperation with the village, have recently still reopened a renovated facility in Catherine Legge Park that is now called we affectionately refer to as the BOB, the Bill O'Brien Platform Tennis Center. That was opened in December of 21, an expanded facility where we host play. During leagues, we host other teams, men's and women's players from across the area and around the country in some instances. And we now invite those people into simply a first-class facility. It's a public facility, of course, but it's on par with any public or private facility in the Chicagoland and even in the national area. And that speaks very highly of us, because there are some very, very fine facilities, particularly on the North Shore and increasingly here in the other western suburbs as well. But we have an absolutely first-class facility that we can be very proud of these days. And the programming at that facility, it's our job at HPTA. HPTA has an agreement with the village by which we maintain the facilities and manage all of the programming that goes on for platform tennis and all our endeavors. And we enjoy an annual stipend from the village to help us do that. But by and large, we're pretty much self-funded in running this programming and maintaining the facilities. But the programming is excellent too, and with our new facilities, we have found more demand for programming, not so much as an increased membership, but our existing membership is asking for more programming. So that's the impetus behind our proposal that we're coming forward with now, is that we want to serve our existing membership, which now numbers around 800 individuals, and that's a mix of resident and non-resident, individual and family members who participate in programs at our facilities, both at Catherine Legge, and there's a 2-court facility that you may be familiar with over in Burns Field. And we manage that property as well in the programming there. So HPTA is an all-volunteer board, an 8-member board, and 3 advisors. And we're confident that the partnership that we have with the village, the agreement that we have with the village, is just an excellent working example of public-private partnership that really works very well and benefits the public. I mean, that's the bottom line, of course. It benefits the public, and we've got one of the best run, most robust programs in the area. So we're very proud of that, and we're proud of our relationship with the village. Having said all of that, in the way of background, we have 6 courts at our facility over at Catherine Legge, and we've seen the need to add 2 more courts and make it an 8-court facility. So that's what we're proposing. And there are a few key points that I'll just touch on, answer any questions, of course, that you may have, and we may have some others to speak on some of these points as well, it sounds like tonight. But from our end, maybe 5 key points. Number 1, no budget impact for the village. HPTA will pay for 100% of the project. And so these things are costly. It'll be a substantial endeavor for us, but we will pay for it, and it'll be a no budget impact item for the village. So pleased to report that. In terms of more specifics, the appearance and the location of the courts, you see it in your packet there, but these 2 additional courts will be set alongside 2 of the existing courts, just immediately to the west of 2 of the existing courts at the facility. And that really is the only location. It's the good location, but it's really the only direction in which we could expand. We can't go south because it's Burr Ridge and King Brewer across the fence. And we can't go east because that's where our immediate neighbors are, Burr Ridge and Hinsdale, the residences along the streets there. And then to the north, there are the lacrosse fields and the other playing fields that we would impact, and we wouldn't want to do that. So that leaves a western portion of the facility to expand into. And there is room there. There's just the right amount of room for 2 more courts to set alongside the existing courts immediately to the west. So the courts will be the character of the overall facility, the appearance of the overall facility will be unchanged. These courts will look exactly like the existing courts that are there in terms of the color, the materials, the skirting that runs around the bottom of these courts, et cetera. It really will not make a substantial impact on the overall character of the facility. Lighting of these courts is an important issue to address. And all of these courts are lit, of course, as are the courts at Burns. And I'm pleased to say that lighting technology has improved fairly substantially in the last number of years. And the lighting that is now available that will be installed on these courts is more efficient than the existing lighting. It is, it's of a similar wattage, but it's positioned in such a way that it focuses on the court and on the playing surface and the players without bleed. So they're much more efficient in terms of the absence of any bleed than the existing lighting that exists at KLM. And we've had a good test case for this at Burns Field recently. We were in need of new lights over there, and we installed, in cooperation with the village, we installed one of the new type of lights that was available to see how that would appear. And it was far superior to the existing lights. And then we went ahead and replaced those lights on both of the courts at Burns Field. And if you're familiar with the before and after, it's fairly substantial. It's better. It's just less bleed and less glare. And the lights are installed so that the fixtures themselves are parallel to the court. They're not angled. So there's less glare. There's just less outside bother, so to speak. So the lights on the new courts will be, needless to say, will be of that same kind. They'll be an improvement. The fourth point is public notice and neighbors. We have a great relationship with our neighbors. We frankly have never had, to my knowledge, we've never had a complaint. We've never had a serious problem with any of our neighbors in terms of noise, lights, or anything else. In the 20 years that I've been involved in the program, I've not been aware of it in the time that I've been on the board. We are good neighbors. We have a robust program that's active many nights of the week, especially during the regular season, the fall and the winter. But we manage ourselves appropriately, and we've just never had problems. So we're pleased with that. And when this project came up, we followed the same course that we did 10 years ago when we added courts to KLM. It was originally a 4-court facility in 2004 when they built the original hut. And in 2011, we added 2 more courts. And then and now we of course complied with the public notice requirements. This has been in the paper and the signage was up, and we sent all the certified mailings out to all the surrounding properties around the entire park. But in addition to that, as I mentioned, we've reached out directly to our neighbors. Our president spoke with the acting CEO at King Brewert and made her aware of our program and our proposal. And she has not raised any concerns, and in fact wants to talk to us about perhaps involving some of the residents there in some of our programming. So that's something, of course, that I think they're more interested in pickle, actually, than platform. They may not fully know the difference. But in any event, we've made them aware of our proposal and our project, and we don't see any issues there at all. But in addition, Marty Brennan went door to door recently to the dozen or so closest neighbors to the east, which are Burr Ridge and I think Hinsdale, 2 neighbors. And some may be here tonight and can lend us their perspective. But Marty and our current president, Rick Larson, visited a number of the neighbors recently, spoke with them, had conversations with them about what we were planning, and he can reflect on that if you have any questions, or perhaps they'll come up a little bit later on. But the point being that, in addition to just complying with the notice requirements, we've reached out to our closest neighbors and tried to put them at ease, because frankly, I don't think this expansion of the facility will impact any neighbor in any material way. And finally, the last thing I'll mention is the landscaping and parking issues. There are a couple of full-growth trees that are next to, adjacent to the west of where these courts will be installed. And we've already, in terms of their placement, and we're actually elevating the new courts a few feet above the existing level of the courts in order to accommodate those trees. We don't want to do any unnecessary grading or things that would disrupt those full-growth trees. So we've already tried to minimize that, but we will do that going forward. We will work actively with staff and with John Fennell, the village arborist. I know that staff is recommending that a tree preservation program be made part of the ordinance that would ultimately approve our project, and we're certainly fine with that because we have no interest in disrupting those full-growth trees. So we'll pay attention to that. And finally, I'll just mention parking, and this is what Bethany refers to as the hot mess. She says that's a technical term, but I think historically parking has been, it's gone through a lot of iterations or changes over the years, parking at KLM. It can be a little bit tricky, and there is a parking analysis in our packet that Bethany helped us greatly in compiling. But the bottom line there is that we are compliant. We will not need to add any additional parking spaces to accommodate the 2 new courts. So that's in the analysis. But again, beyond just the technical compliance with these requirements, we're actively talking to our lower lot neighbors. We share the park with a couple of other structures that you're familiar with, but includes the Montessori school that shares the lower level parking lot with us. We are in touch regularly with the executive director there and her staff members. We make one another aware of major events that are coming that will require additional parking or more than the usual parking traffic, so to speak. So we have a good active dialogue going there to minimize any traffic issues or parking issues in that lower lot. And the same goes for the village staff. As part of our discussions leading up to this proposal, we've re-upped our commitment to the village staff, and they likewise, to make one another aware of programming events, athletic events, other programming, large events. We have an annual tournament that's kind of a big event, to make one another aware so that we're keeping some master calendars together and taking appropriate steps as a practical matter to avoid any parking congestion that might take place occasionally. And I do say occasionally because it's largely, the last thing I'll say about parking is that our heavy hours tend to be on weeknights in the evenings. That's when we play league matches in the fall and winter. And, needless to say, those aren't heavy times for Montessori school students and the like. So we tend to be, our busier times tend to be off times for the other in-park neighbors. So the parking is, it's tricky from time to time, but it's not a substantial issue for us. So all that is a matter of saying, we hope you'll look kindly on our proposal. I think essentially it's a proposal to keep doing business as we are, as a good partner to the village and a good partner to our neighbors in the way that we've been doing for a number of years now, but most recently with our newly renovated facility. So thanks for your time. I'll take any questions either now or later.
We'll do some questions, and we'll see if anyone else likes to speak on the matter. Laurel?
Well, so I read through your packet quite carefully, and I like this proposal. It responds to demand from within your membership, but also it seems as though it's very forward-thinking, so that should your membership expand, you would be able to accommodate more people as well. It doesn't materially change things regarding neighbors, larger park usage. So I think there are so many positives about it. One parking question that I do have is, how do you coordinate with some of the more seasonal usage of KLM? For instance, soccer or lacrosse clubs which come and use that space. And I know a lot, at least lacrosse in the past has been headquartered in the back there in terms of where the teams meet for club practices and so forth. And they do practice after school and into the evening, and so that could overlap with your hours somewhat. So that would be just, something to think about. And,
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for the positive comments.
Sure.
I have to commend you on the job that you've done. It's very thorough in checking with the neighbors and all the other facets of your club to begin with, and then the expansion of it. Just a couple, and especially in regard to the Montessori, and like Laurel brought up, the other activities that are going on at the park, but it seems like you're pretty hands-on and trying to avoid any issues by being up front with others involved. I appreciate the trees, that you're taking such concern. These courts are how much higher than the existing ones?
One will be 3 feet higher than the existing, and the other one, I think, 3.5.
Okay, so there's a difference even in those two, but there
Yeah.
would be no tree removal. And the concern that I had was, of course, the residents at KLM, but there has not been any issues. Nobody has ever voiced a complaint about hours or lights.
Never, to my knowledge,
No.
no.
Okay. And if for some odd reason, I know the lights stay on till 10:30, correct?
Yeah.
If for some reason, which I'm guessing is not the case, it sounds like they're busy all the time, but is there an ability, nobody's coming, we can turn the lights off earlier? Is this a totally automated system, they just go off at 10:30?
They will go off at 10:30, but when
But
play
if for
is,
some reason there was no usage,
then they're turned off manually.
They can
And
manually
that is oftentimes the case.
I was wondering, it is oftentimes.
It's oftentimes the case. If you're there on a weeknight in the summer and it's 9:30 and you're the last ones on the court, then the protocol is to shut down the lights.
Okay. Good. And I know that 11:30 is, that, not to monopolize, 11:30, the club itself can stay open till, and that's inside the facility, right?
That's right.
Those are my questions.
Thanks, Cynthia. Jim?
Right.
I think this organization and facility is an asset to Hinsdale. I've participated in a very minor way in your
Good,
platform tennis
good.
things. And it's great. I have no further questions.
Glad to hear it, thanks.
Mr. Gray?
Just one quick question about the logistics, Kevin. So you'll have, I played paddle for a while and kind of know the scheduling. So you'll have men's 13 against men's 13 from Glen Ellen, and women's 5 against women's 5 from LaGrange Racket Club. So you'll have two matches going on subsequently, or simultaneously, Monday through Thursday. Is that the way things would be working?
During the regular season, there's not a mix on a given night of men and women, but one or the other. During the season, and I'll let Kelly speak to this as well from the women's side, but during the regular season, which is September to March, Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday evenings are men's league nights. So that's where we have guests from other clubs on the North Shore, out here out west, and those in last season we had a record number of teams or levels of play from KLM participating. I think the number was either 19 or 21. We had a lot of teams, over 200 men's players that participate on those nights. Now, a lot of us are traveling on a given night, are traveling to other clubs as well. But one thing, our busiest time tends to be those league nights, those weekday evenings during the regular season. These additional courts will allow us to host one more team on those nights.
Okay.
So instead of only being able to host 3, we'll be able to host 4 visiting teams on a given league night. And that really is one of the crunch times, the busiest times for us that this will alleviate.
I'm 100%.
Well, the
Go
women's
ahead.
leagues have a little different timeframe, and Kelly, you can speak to that.
I know when the women's play. I was
All right.
optimistic that you're gonna let the women start playing at night, but that's me dreaming of a perfect world.
Our,
for
our,
women.
our women's program is very robust and growing, and it's a real highlight of our programming.
Thanks, Jerry.
I approve.
Julie?
I'd like to thank you for putting together such a very thorough packet.
Thank you.
Rarely do I come to these meetings not having any questions, and actually I don't have any questions, so thank you for that. And I also wanted to thank you for going the extra mile and reaching out to all the neighbors. I think this is a good plan. I think you're covering everything to make it good for your club, good for the village, good for the neighbors, so I'm in favor of this application.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Mark?
Right, thank you, yeah, I agree, very good package, very thorough. I guess one of the questions, one of the criteria we're looking at is drainage and erosion. Have there been any concerns from the neighbors on drainage? And I can elaborate on that a little bit first, or if you want to answer that question.
There aren't issues with the current placement, but the current placement of the courts is designed to minimize potential problem that could have taken place had we located one of the courts to the west of the existing court number 6, which is the southernmost court and the farthest to the west. And there is a drainage ditch that comes down through that area of the park just to the west of that court. And we had originally discussed an option of placing another court in that location. And in discussions with Al Diaz, some of the other village engineers and staff, we decided that it wasn't a good idea because we didn't want a court to be placed over the drainage. Ditch isn't the right word, but it's that portion that water does run through. So we didn't want to disrupt that in any way.
Okay.
It wouldn't be good for the court either because there are heating mechanisms underneath the platforms of these courts, and having a bunch of water down there is not a good idea. So we took that under advisement and located the courts just to the north.
Okay, thank you. Bethany, and maybe this isn't a fair question, but this will be looked at from a detention perspective as well? by
Part of this
village?
application will include a stormwater permit with DuPage County, so that will be
Okay.
reviewed. But we don't know what that will trigger at this point. We don't believe it will trigger anything based on some preliminary discussions, but we'll find out. It's piers that go into the ground, so it's not like the entire area below is covered in permeable or unpermeable surfaces.
Correct, but the surface, I mean, you
Right.
almost have 4/10 of an acre of
Yes.
impervious area after all the additions, so I think, it's just something to consider.
And that will be part
draining
of the
to
permit and the
yeah.
bidding process as
Okay.
well.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Thanks, Mark. Anna?
No questions, thank you.
Thanks.
Nice job.
Thanks,
The only thing
Scott.
I would say is, and I mentioned this to Bethany, we've got a great cross-country program in Hinsdale. It goes along with what Laurel was saying on lacrosse and soccer. That cross-country routing at KLM is considered one of the best in the state, if not the best in the state.
Yeah.
And both boys and girls have one state. It's a really good program. And I would just make sure that you touch base with the coach over at Hinsdale to let him know that this is going on so he can be ahead of the curve on rerouting. Because
They won't have to reroute.
they will not,
Is this
because they
anywhere
were going
near the
behind it.
They still go behind
Are they still going behind?
Yeah.
Yes, they still are.
Yeah.
All right, then you're good. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. I like the proposal. I appreciate the thoroughness of it. So I have no questions. Is there other individuals that want to speak on this matter? If you come up and tell us your name, and love to hear what you have to say.
My name is Tom Kozinski. That's Kosinski, and I'm a current resident on the east side of the park, KLM, and probably within about 100 to 200 feet of the court. And I have 4 individuals that are in a similar situation as myself. I've been a resident for 6 years and have had kind of a close and personal experience with both the park and the court. The park is the gem of Hinsdale. It is enjoyed by many. It is very pleasant, except for the exceptions. So I think my perspective is as much about the status quo as opposed to the project itself. If the project improves the park, then I'm a big fan of it. But if the current park has problems, I really think you have to address the problems before you can improve it. So I think my point of view is that, number one, there's a responsibility to the park. And the park has to be treated respectfully, not only the park, but the participants, and the park actually has rules. And one of the rules is about foul language. I could cite what the park says about that, but clearly I think we understand what is responsible, what is the right way to do things. As a local resident, I can honestly say that the majority of the people appreciate that, they respect that. It's the case of the individual that is out of line. I can't speculate on the reasons why. Could it be liquor? Could it be aggressive behavior? But for whatever reason, there are times when I do not have children, but I would be offended if I had children. And it's not a surprise that there's a children's school within earshot of that court. The question is, how do you manage it? How do you enforce it? Can you have a policeman there every time somebody chooses to be vulgar and offensive and make innuendos about things that are inappropriate? Is that the norm? No, it's the exception. But when it happens, it's very uncomfortable. And if you're living 100 feet away from that court, what does that enforcement look like? And my answer is, it's not there. So, the question for the group is, if you're going to promote increasing the volume, increasing the let's call it the atmosphere, is there a way to protect the park, protect the neighbors, and find a way so that this increase doesn't hurt the park? In speaking about this topic, I was actually asked by somebody that approached me and said, we're starting a new park, we're starting a new court. What would you do differently? They identified me as a local resident, and I volunteered my ideas. And here's the ideas I shared. The first is that there's a parking problem. Not necessarily that there's not a lot available for users, for members. The problem is people don't use it. They will park on the street. They will take advantage of the southeast corner of the park having foot access in. So in other words, instead of having to park 500 feet away, they want to park 200 feet away. And whether they block parkways, whether they block private property, whether they block mailboxes. We've had complaints from mailmen saying that you have people parking in front of the mailbox. They just disrespect the local community. So again, what's that enforcement look like? Is there somebody from the park that can enforce that? I really don't expect HPTA to be the enforcer, because all they have is a membership. So again, you have to have a partnership with the park, with the neighbors, and with the members to say, can we rely on them to at least have decorum when they're using the park? So again, using the walkway instead of parking in the parking lot has been a common problem. How many times does that happen? Almost daily. Because it's an incentive. a 100-foot walk from your car instead of a 300-foot walk to your car. We've had people pull their car right up to the front door of that lodge to avoid walking. I guess if everybody allows it, then I guess anybody can choose to do that. You just forget the parking lot, just pull up to the walkway. Again, is that important enough for enforcement of a very simple decorum? Number 2, noise and disruption. Code of conducts. What kind of noise? Is it music? Is it vulgar language? Is it even fireworks? Somebody wanted a 4th of July party, so they threw a fireworks on their way to the court. Again, limited, but offensive. 3, is the park able to take care of itself? There's a lot of issues in the park. There's dogs running wild. There's policemen worried about someone actually got attacked and there was no one to take care of them. Isolated, but a concern. There was nobody to handle the situation. Next, bright lights are necessary. I understand that. But is it important to keep it open at all hours? 10:30 is when the lights go off. 11:30 is when the clubhouse goes off. And there's a lot of loud noise that comes out of there at 11:30 at night. Is it enough to wake you up? It's possible. And then you're bringing an outside influence. Are these Hinsdale members? Are these guests of Hinsdale members? Or is it a combination? And when somebody who doesn't belong there comes out at 11:30 at night, is that a concern? Do we have to start having police presence just because you have people walking to their cars in the neighborhood at 11:30 at night? And then finally, is there a demand for this? Most of the time, and again, I understand leagues, I understand special events, most of the time there's vacancies. Is it really being used enough to justify the growth? If there is, I respect your opinion, I expect your judgment. I just am looking for consistency. Make sure that your occupancy, that your vacancy makes sense, and that you have a consistent plan how to manage it. If not, then have a survey. Survey what people are thinking. And is this a bigger problem than it sounds? Or is this that bad day where somebody is violent and vicious? It could be, but we've incurred more than just the exception. We've seen it happen once a week, twice a week, which is too much. What do we do when that happens? Who do we go to? So, in short, I would like to see more understanding of the impact of the courts on the neighborhood, and at least make sure that people are satisfied, that they have an understanding of what the expectations are, and to make sure that if something goes wrong, there is a way to enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris Bryant, 638 Regford Road. We own the property immediately proximate to the courts. Thank you, Tom, for your eloquent questions to the board here. Appreciate all that you've said. I'd just like to reiterate a few of the points. First, the gentleman who spoke talked about reaching out to the neighbors. While I certainly saw a ring in the past week of someone coming to my home whom I assumed was part of the Paddle Tennis Association, we've really never had conversations with the people who actually run that facility. I'd appreciate a little more collegial, neighborly behavior and actually coming and asking us, how's it going? Ask us maybe to participate as an adjunct or ad hoc member to board meetings so that we can express our concerns I think these are reasonable expectations. Somewhat tongue-in-cheek, I'd appreciate $100 for every time I find one of these in my yard. With regards to the gentleman's question on drainage, in the last 2 years, we have had overflow from the swale into our property. And so I am concerned about the fact that the addition of these 2 courts may have an impact on, particularly now with some of the torrential downpours that we've seen, what that might do to our property. The swale has done a good job, but I can tell you again, on several occasions, we have had overflow onto our property. With regards to decorum, I imagine that many of the members have children or grandchildren. And I can tell you that on several occasions with my granddaughter, on a weekend in our backyard, I've had to defend her ears from inappropriate and lewd behavior and language. And when I actually approached the members over the fence and asked them to please calm things down, what I was faced with was an escalation of those same lewd and lascivious comments. I don't appreciate that, and I would appreciate some self-governance with regards to how members behave. With regards to the lighting, I would like to understand if there is an override to the automatic light shutoff at 10:30, because at least from my recollection, I believe that the lights have been on past 10:30. And with regards to the clubhouse, while it's supposed to shut at 11:30, on numerous occasions over the last several months, the clubhouse lights have been left on overnight. And while certainly the reflection onto our property isn't as the same as those with regards to the court lights, it's still there. It still shines in to my son's room. So again, I concur with Tom. All we're asking for is a bit more courteous behavior. Reach out, ask us how things are going. Come to us on more frequent occasion than when you want to put new courts in, and find out what you can do to be better neighbors. Thank you.
Just find out actually.
Bryant.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, please. Were you sworn in, sir?
I am not.
You just solemnly swear that the testimony you give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Marty Brennan, Brennan. Yeah, and I just want to be brief because I appreciate the feedback you just gave us. I'm sorry I missed you when on May 29th, I went door to door, Lori Lane, Gregford, about as far south as South Street. So, and I'm sorry that we didn't have a chance to talk, but I'm the past president of HPTA, so our current president's on a fishing trip. So I'm going to de facto sort of speak on behalf of the organization, if that's okay. We would like to have a dialogue with you. As a board, we want to understand if we're impacting the neighborhood negatively. Your comments are valid, and your comments are what we need to hear. And I appreciate you bringing them because, and I'll give you my contact number, I'll give you Rick's contact number, who's the current president, and we will address within our membership to the ability that we can some of the decorum issues you referenced, the parking issues. We have parking in the park, so there's no need to be parking on your street. And we can address those issues within our membership and communicate that visibly to them. So I'm just, on behalf of HPTA, I just want to let you know that we would like to engage with you and bring some solutions to some of the issues you brought up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Could I ask one question? I think, Tom, have you guys called the Hinsdale Police on when issues like this have arisen?
Correct, those streets are the Village of Burr Ridge.
True, with the parks in Hinsdale.
Correct, so we can work together.
Okay.
Just to reiterate, we can
I mean,
have our police department work with Burr Ridge.
Okay, I would encourage that. because we're not an enforcement, we do zoning. But, okay, I would definitely, you know, call both Hinsdale and Burr Ridge. If they're parking in Burr Ridge, they should be made aware of that problem, and also the police as far as any activities in the park.
And maybe there needs to be more cooperation because Burr Ridge and
Do you mind going
Hinsdale-
to the podium?
Oh, yeah, sorry, so you can be on TV.
I think when you have this border, you may have a little bit of a jurisdiction question because we have very limited Burr Ridge access to the corners of the park, and Hinsdale Police will actually have a presence inside the park, but they rarely go to the southeast corner. So you rarely see them actually able to influence the conduct in that far corner of the park. So the question is really, is this a police issue? Is this a park issue? And all I'm looking for is at least a suggestion how to address it. And I hate to compare apples to oranges, but there's more signage, there's more rules about walking your dog than about playing on the courts. And maybe that's a bigger issue, but it's just what's the priority? And is there an ability to enforce it? I hate to call out somebody for having a good time. But if they're offensive, if they're lewd, then what happens? Is it necessary to call the police just to tell somebody, you know, be quiet? And again, having a decorum is really a group effort.
I want to encourage dialoguing with the members, with the member, the association, having that dialogue so you can report to them if there's issues with members that are speaking lewdly on the courts or whatever. If it's outside of the court area, then it would be the Hinsdale Police.
Thank you.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Paddle tennis is a pretty genteel activity, so I really like that, Marty, you've made and I would encourage you to follow through on that so that the Paddle Tennis Association can oversee the discipline of any trouble. Because I am also a big fan of calling the police for police matters. This sounds like a etiquette matter, so it needs to be addressed. But I hope it can be addressed as has been suggested within the organization.
Anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? Hearing none, any other questions? The applicant, questions?
None?
I had a little bit of a concern about the water issue. If you are getting water in your yards and how substantial that is. And I imagine engineering has looked at it, and Bethany, do they give an okay?
Be part of the construction permitting.
Correct,
process.
it'll be reviewed with
It'll
the
be
full
reviewed at
construction
that
permit.
time. Okay,
It might be unrelated to the expansion, it might be
An issue.
exogenous.
sure. My only other question is the Burns Field, you said you changed the lights there, and the impact is great. And the new ones, the new courts, if you build them, will have those lights. The existing lights, are those also newer lights, or is that the original ones? And would that help the neighborhood?
The longer-term plan is to replace all the existing lights with the newer technology. I don't have a specific timeline for that, but that is our intention, a little bit longer term,
Okay.
to make all of them consistent with the newer technology.
Okay, thanks, Cynthia. Any other questions?
What
comments?
is well, I'm not trying to put you on the spot asking about the cost, but I'm wondering if perhaps updating the lights on all of the courts could be, the timeline could be moved up on that in order to address some of the neighbor concerns?
That's certainly something that we could consider. Yeah. There are, the village and HPTA contribute to a capital fund that is reserved for capital improvements. That, and to my knowledge, I know we haven't recently, perhaps if ever, tapped into that reserve yet. This might be an occasion on which we could use some of that shared money for that purpose. So that's something that we could consider.
Okay, thank you. Good idea, Well. Any other questions, comments for the commissioners? Hearing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Krillenberger, so motions.
Do you have a second?
Second, Willoughby?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Harlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Curry,
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger,
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi, Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Chairman Cashman.
Aye. Okay, commissioners, do anyone have a motion to approve case A-14-2024 as submitted?
Do we need to make a change about, working with the neighbors first?
I think we can encourage that to happen.
Okay, and maybe, look into the stormwater,
Well, that's a normal process with the
Okay.
village. I mean, the village is responsible for that.
okay, working with the neighbors, and maybe about the lighting?
And encouraging possibly the replacements
Yeah.
of existing lights.
I would agree. That has
Before,
to be-
before it goes to the Board of Trustees meeting?
Yeah. Come up with a.
I mean, the
resolve.
application was so well done, I'm sure you're gonna come up, with a solution about the neighbors' problems, and it's best, working together. And I'm thinking for the neighbors, maybe no parking signs on your side of the street? You have those and they're still parking? I would be calling them, the Burridge, or maybe there's a way, working with Burridge, Bethany,
Yeah, and when we get complaints like this too, our public services, our public works department, can sometimes put up better signage, so that might be something that you want to look at. We also have been speaking to Burr Ridge on behalf of this project to make sure that they're aware as well. So hopefully there's a way that we can work together, see if there's different signage and different enforcement.
And
We're
then
happy to
everybody's
help.
happy, except the people who can't park there. Yeah, that's all I had to add.
Okay, if we could add that, Bethany. Do we have a second?
Second, Curry?
Roll call vote, please, Bethany.
Commissioner Harlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Curry,
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger,
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi, Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Chairman Cashman.
Aye. Sure. Thank you for coming and speaking. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Our next order of business are sign permit reviews. We have quite a few tonight. Our first is case A-13-2024, sign permit review for 8 East First Street, Pronto Italian.
We did.
I thought we closed it. Okay. I always forget. It's amazing I did. Pronto Italian sandwiches, so, Bocelio, installation of one awning sign. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Peter Birdie. I am the owner of the new Pronto Italian sandwiches in town, and Nabuki Sushi and Il Poggiolo Ristorante. We have opened up a restaurant called Pronto Italian Sandwiches inside of Il Poggiolo, kind of as a pop-up, but now it's become its own kind of restaurant, sandwich shop. We operate from 11 to about 3:30 every day. We're doing very well. And we decided a while ago to try to give it its own identity. So we had this other opening door on the side, on the west side, or east side. And we thought it would be a great idea to kind of differentiate it from Il Poggiolo, that's been there for a long time. And we're just kind of, asking for its own awning. We've kept it with the color scheme. The only thing that might be a little different is the Italian sandwiches that's next to Pronto. And it's a forest green color, and pretty self-explanatory on that. We're just asking for permission to put that up.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Scott, any questions, comments?
I do, I have a quick question. I can't tell on the renderings, there's 2 different renderings of the height of the awning. The one looks like it's significantly lower than the Il Poggio. What is it?
Well,
Awning.
because it's a foot higher on where that door is, or not a foot, but but the bottom line is it's about 9 foot. But there's a step that comes down
Yeah.
to the sidewalk, so it's about 9 feet.
The point is in the rent, you guys see what I'm saying?
In the photograph?
In this picture, it's lower by a bunch, even though it's a step up. On the other picture, it's at the same level. And I'm just curious what it's actually gonna look like. You see what I'm saying?
Let's make it the same level.
Well, the top of the windows are higher.
Yeah, I have the same.
On this picture, it's on the same level. See that? See the bottoms of this, how it looks? And then on this one, even though it's a step up, it's significant. And I just am curious, like, which one's it gonna be?
I would say it's this one. It's the one that I sent last. That's the last
Fascinating.
that my sign guy sent me.
And
All right, so if
that
you're.
may be just the rendering.
Yeah,
If you
it's
look
not
at-
an elevation
Yeah,
drawing, it's not
if you
accurate.
look at the photos where it's the old awning that's out, or the one that's, I think, out there right
Yeah,
now with the
yeah.
curved circular awning. I
It's
believe
lower.
it's a little bit lower because there is a step up. And I believe that'll be more of the alignment
Okay,
versus, it might just be the rendering.
that was the only question.
Because
I
since
just
it's
wanted to
stepped
have-
back in perspective, it's not gonna be at the same elevation.
Right.
Kenna?
You're leaving the light above it.
Yeah, that's been there since the beginning. So yes.
That's all I have.
Mark?
No, I think it's a great idea, and the sandwiches are great.
Thank you.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Julie?
No questions, I think it looks wonderful.
Thank you.
Gary?
It looks great.
Thank you.
Thanks for opening the sandwich spot.
Yeah, no, it's working out. We just got good news today that we're getting into O'Hare Airport too with this concept,
Oh, really?
which is amazing. So it'll be a great, just to have Pronto sandwiches that started 4 months ago get into O'Hare Airport, which will be great for Hinsdale and for us, of course.
Which terminal?
Terminal 1, Concourse B.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Very
Good
nice.
one.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're excited. We just found that out today.
Cool.
So we should be out there by mid-July, which is crazy.
That's quick.
So it's really cool. Yeah.
Jim? You good?
You're at O'Hare? No comments.
Thank you.
No, it's great.
Thank
Great,
you.
The sandwiches are great. The door is heavy.
It is.
It's a very heavy door.
Well, again, that was, it
You
was
make
like,
us work to get in
well,
there.
yeah, we need to address that because it's like people
High-end
can't even get in
calories.
sometimes and they're like,
There you
they
go.
go
Need
to
to
the
work
other
it
door. So it's funny. But yeah, we're working on that too. Again, this was kind of like, hey, let's do a sandwich shop out of Il Poggio and let's see what happens. And then next thing you know, it's going. So, but yeah, I agree with you. The doors, both of the doors are heavy, but that one seems to be a little bit stuck.
They're really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Laura?
I just have one question. This is probably just a typo, but on this page of the presentation, this A won't appear on that, will it? Yeah, okay.
That was,
Didn't think so.
no.
It was probably choice A.
No,
Yeah,
it-
so, okay,
Yeah,
well,
it
good.
has nothing to do with that.
No
It's
other
white.
questions?
It's white. There's no A.
Very good.
Thank you. I am.
Thank you.
Is there
Yeah, no.
something I'm missing why there's an A?
No.
Okay.
I think it looks great, and congratulations on her.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Hearing no other comments, can I have a motion to approve case A-13-2024 as submitted?
So move more.
You have a second?
Second, Curry?
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Curry,
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger,
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi, Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Chairman Cashman.
Aye. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thanks.
You too. The next order of business is case A-6-2024, sign permit review, 43A South Washington, Legendary Spa, installation of one awning sign and one permanent window sign. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting us. I'm the contractor on the project. My name is John Reynolds. I'm with Sinorama in Woodridge, Illinois.
And I'm Paul Kingsley, General Counsel for Legendary Spa. We're happy to be here in Hinsdale. This is our 5th location in the Chicagoland area. We've been open for a few months and are very busy and getting ready to hire more people. So happy to be here.
Okay. The address in question is 43 and 43A South Washington. In your packet, you'll find this particular photograph. It shows both addresses together. 43 is the Jade Dragon restaurant, and in the left corner, kind of hiding a little bit behind a tree, is the entrance to 43A, which is the stairway to Legendary Spa, which is located upstairs above the Jade Dragon. Now, Legendary Spa does not have anything whatsoever on the first floor other than that stairway that goes up to the second floor. This is a photo of the current 43A entrance with no tree in front of it. And you can see it's a simple glass door with a large glass window on the top. And the outcome that we are seeking is to add a black awning with a relatively small logo on the valance of the awning. The awning is going to be colored black. It will completely cover that upper window that you saw in the earlier photograph. It'll be located exactly 8 feet above the pavement, and there will be graphics on the door that are what you see in the photograph. As part of this application, the restaurant downstairs, the Jade Dragon, has agreed to removal of its aqua-colored awning. On the day that we took the photo, the awning was not open. It's curled up there, rolled up. But it is an older awning, and the owner, as part of the agreement to let Legendary Spa have their awning, has agreed to the removal of that aqua awning for the Jade Dragon. And that, in a nutshell, is what the proposal is all about.
Okay, thank you. Laura, any questions, comments?
I don't think I do. Is the reason that the blue awning is coming down, is it because of regulations on how many window signs and awnings are permitted per address?
And it's in poor condition as well.
I see, okay. Okay,
Yay.
no
Thank you, Laura.
questions.
Cynthia?
Yeah, that blue awning doesn't look in great shape. You don't pay attention, but it looks like it needs to go, and how great to have someone working with you to say, yeah, I'll give it up. I think it looks nice. There's obviously a light issue when you block that. So that's the staircase going up, correct?
It's just
Does
a,
that
it's
make for
just a
really
view of the
dark-
staircase.
Does it make for a dark corridor there?
There's an interior chandelier light right as you walk in, so
Okay,
it's pretty well
okay.
lit. So, yeah.
Looks nice.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim?
Do you have any, so you're covering up the address, 43A, with the new awning? Is there going to be a replacement of the address anyplace on the?
I don't.
That's a good point, but, and that can be certainly added above the logo.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah,
it
I would
does-
think for
it does
business
sit-
purposes and for emergency purposes.
Yeah, I
that would
think
be-
so. From
Yeah.
the street grade, when you're looking, I think you'll probably still be able to see it because you know the awning's at 8 feet, and when you're looking from street grade, you can the letters are right above that the piece there that separates the two windows. But we can look at it, and certainly if necessary, we can move that down below that so it's fully uncovered. Happy to do that.
That's a good point, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, or you've got the hardware store numbers 43 and Jade Dragon, you can.
Yeah.
I'm particularly thinking about that from the perspective of someone in an automobile who's also looking for parking at the same time. And so
Right.
you know, to have the address number low enough that they could see it from out in the middle of the street where they would be in their car.
Sure. Yep.
No other questions?
Thanks, Jim. Jerry?
I love the sign. I love that you're getting rid of some of the Jade Dragon features. I got excited when I read the note, the handwritten note on the top, that the neon sign that I think is boxed around Jade Dragon may be disappearing. How hopeful should I be?
Probably a staff comment, it's staff on that one, not me.
It is verified that it's an existing non-conforming sign, so they do have rights to keep it. We did ask them if they would consider removing it, and they do not want to remove it.
Okay, one can always hope. Okay, I'm happy with your
We
work.
tried, but
Yes.
we settled on the awning, so,
Right. Julie?
I think it looks great.
thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Same. I think it looks good.
Anna?
No question.
Scott?
I have one for Bethany. What happened to the tree?
Is the tree no longer there?
Yeah, there's another picture where the tree's gone.
The,
Is it
credit,
gone?
credit to Hinsdale, the old tree was cut down, and I was very upset, and I came back out a week later and a new tree was already planted, so
Okay.
good work, good work for
gonna
the
say.
arborists here in Hinsdale, I was very impressed.
question.
Just swapping out trees.
Yes, they
Had to
were, they
call
were right on
Jonathan
it,
out.
so.
I just saw the different pictures.
I think it looks great. I think it will be nice, nice addition. Any other questions, comments? Marina? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Do I have a motion to approve case A-6-2024 for 43A South Washington as submitted?
Krillenberger, so motions.
Do we have a second?
Second, Willoughby.
Julie? We have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Harlow?
Aye.
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Thank you, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Next order of business is case A-15-2024, sign permit review for 114 South Washington Street, Cali Cantina, installation of one wall sign. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Colin Ringelstetter. I'm one of the owners of Kaya Cantina. We are putting up a sign that looks identical to the K-Miso sign that was there. The wording is just different, obviously, as we changed the name. Other than that, it is basically the exact same sign that was approved, I think, in December.
Okay, great, thank you. Scott?
No questions.
Ann? Mark?
None.
Julie?
No questions.
Jerry?
None.
Jim?
Good.
Cynthia?
Cuisines change?
Modern Mexican, we dropped the Japanese.
Gotcha.
Decided not to compete with Peter Birdie.
Gotcha.
No
Laura?
questions.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks.
Do I have a motion to approve case A-15-2024 for 114 South Washington Street as submitted?
So
Motion.
moved. Cernovich?
Second, Curry.
A roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow?
Aye.
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Good luck. Our next sign permit review is case A-18-2024 for 42 East Hinsdale Avenue, Hinsdale Prime Steak, installation of one wall sign and two awning signs. Is there someone here representing the applicant?
Good
Welcome.
evening. My name is Antonio, owner of the Coming Restaurant, Hinsdale Prime Steak. So we are just applying for a change of existing awnings and sign for new material and with our logo. So the awnings just is going to be replacing the old fabric for new fabric awnings, just flat black. One in each side is gonna have our name print, Hinsdale Prime Steak, plus our logo and above the door saying Hinsdale Prime Steak also. So not changing anything, not modifying anything, just old structure for new structure. That's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Hello. Questions, comments?
I know 3 signs or a sign plus 2 awnings is non-conforming, but there's a precedent for it, and with the corner location, I have no problem with that. I actually think it's a good idea with the way that that corner of the facade is constructed. So it's looked fine for years. I would just specify that this exception should not be considered a precedent, but rather more of a grandfathered condition based on the location of that corner exposure and that the broad corner that's on that building. You know, it's not a sharp corner, but there's the
Right.
whole doorway there.
3 sides.
So,
Okay, Cynthia?
I agree with everything that Laurel just said. I agree.
Thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, looks good to me. You're gonna be a steak joint?
Yeah. What, once again?
One of the requirements is that the signage reflect what you're gonna do.
Oh.
So you're gonna be a steak joint?
Well,
It says it right there.
Well, are you going to serve steak?
yeah.
Of course.
Okay, and other stuff?
It's not a secret.
Other things?
Once again?
Other things, your menu?
Oh, our menu? Well, we didn't bring our menu.
No details, but other
Any
things
other
besides
locations?
steak.
Any other locations? So, not on our steakhouse. Most of our background has been in American restaurants. So, actually, with the staff, the leader staff is with me today. If you want us to share with
No,
you.
just in general, steaks.
Yeah.
80% of steakhouse, American steak, with that 20% of Italian, French, depending on the season of the
Great,
year.
exciting.
So,
Okay,
So,
spectacular. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Jared?
I have no questions after that.
Julie?
There
No,
will
no,
be,
it's
I had a
helpful.
question about the windows. There won't be any signage in the windows?
No, they're not gonna have any signage.
Because I like the nice, clean look of this. And it's like Laurel said, you get the 3 points, and as you go over the tracks, I mean, you guys are the first thing people will see with the downtown, so.
No,
I
that's
like the clean look of the signage you chose.
just transparent. So we were thinking it's just a thought if later we can probably apply for replacing those windows for accordion windows, like
So you can
having
open up.
that way people who is inside, you know, can have like a fresh air, and people who is driving by can like see how is the environment inside, the atmosphere. But it's just a thought.
Okay,
So
That'd be great.
it could work.
Good luck with
okay,
it.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mark?
No, I think it looks very clean. I think it'll look good, so I like it.
Anna?
Thank you.
No questions.
Scott?
I know, I've got another look at it. I like it a lot. I look on the awning C, and the lettering's all the way over to the side. Is there a reason for that? It's not in the middle?
What is not in the middle?
Is that because of the tree?
No, actually, we haven't thought about it. We use the site to put it like, the one that is in Hinsdale Avenue is like more going to the Metro, and the Garfield one is more going to the back of the building. We just didn't think about like putting it in the middle. Actually, it's not a reason. We just did it that way. Do you want us to put it in the middle, or is that gonna fit?
I just
I
was
don't know,
asking
objection.
if there was a reason why you were doing it, and it doesn't sound like there is.
Honestly, we didn't think about it. We just did it that way.
All right.
Listen, it's artistic touch. I think it looks great. I love how it's understated, and I think it's gonna be fantastic, so I wish you luck.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much. So,
Hearing no further comments, can I have a motion to approve case A-18-2024 for 42 East Hinsdale Avenue as submitted?
So moved, Fisconi.
Krillenberger seconds.
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow?
Aye.
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Good luck.
thank you so
Welcome.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next order of business is case A-19-2024, sign permit review for 21 East First Street, Blue Mercury, installation of 2 wall signs. Welcome.
Good evening. Yes, Blue Mercury, we've been in the community for about 20 years, and we're just doing a subtle rebrand, like for like sizes, and they're just kind of going from a lowercase to an uppercase copy. Lighter blue background with darker blue letters, halo lit. We'll be doing no additional penetrations in the wall, so there won't be any extra additional holes, and that's about it.
Great, thank you. Scott?
No questions.
Anna?
No questions.
Mark?
Yeah, I guess on this rendering right here, sign B, is there a halo to the lettering when it's not lit too?
Correct, more of an indirect lighting, just a soft glow.
Okay. All right, yeah, I guess I'm indifferent on that, I was just.
And that's how the original ones were as well.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Just eye test for me.
Okay, good. Your eyes are working.
Yeah, exactly.
Julie?
I think I mentioned here that, there was gonna be a timer for the lighting.
Correct.
So like, will the lights be going off, the illumination of the sign be going off at a certain time? Or do they stay lit all night?
Well, a timer typically in like the winter hours after the store closes, which I'm not sure what their hours are.
Okay.
So, but nothing overnight.
Okay, great, that's, you answered my question.
There's either a
Thank you.
dimmer option or a timer option. Timer is a lot more
I'm
efficient.
taking a little survey of how many
Yeah.
lights are on, in the downtown all night, so, okay, thank you.
I mean, I live in Chicago. Everything's on.
Everything's on.
Not here.
Not
Yeah,
here.
not
No,
here.
I think I might move out here. I can sleep, I can sleep at night.
Welcome to the suburbs.
You get those cicada things though.
After the last call of Fuller's. then we
They
go
all
to
go
the-
off at 8
They
o'clock.
go
so
off at
we
8.
got it at our control.
Jerry? Jim?
No questions.
Cynthia?
No questions.
Laurel?
No questions.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve case A-19-2024 for 21 East First Street as submitted?
So move more.
Second, Cernovich?
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow?
Aye.
Commissioner Curry?
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger?
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich?
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby?
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairman Cashman?
Aye. Good luck.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks for coming. Okay, our next order of business is case A-22-2024, Seasons Therapy Group, 811 North Elm Street, repainting of and installation of new sign faces on an existing ground sign. Welcome.
Hi everyone. Susie Slinko Thorpe. I'm the new owner of the building at 811 North Elm Street. I'm also a pediatric speech and language therapist. Was also raised here in Hinsdale and recently moved back to the area. So
Welcome back.
Thank you. Erica is a good friend of mine, so she says hi. I was just texting with her.
Erica
Krupika, yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, good.
I said, I think your uncle's here. Is he? And she was like, yeah.
She's coming to town around 4th of July.
I know,
so-
I'm excited.
Oh, good.
I'll see her then.
Awesome.
So I'm here to talk about the sign that we are going to just update. We wanted to advertise the services that we're going to offer, pediatric speech language therapy as well as occupational and physical therapy out of that space. So we are keeping the structure exactly the same, just updating for our logo and colors.
Great. Let's see where we start last. Laurel?
No questions.
Cynthia?
No questions.
Jim?
Looks great.
Oh, good.
Julie?
I have a question.
Yes.
How many colors on the sign?
There's just going to be the 3.
Okay, the one page I'm looking at, I guess, I'm
The
saying
cover
4.
sheet.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
the cover sheet.
so
Okay.
that's the existing logo, but obviously with the sign permit restrictions, we've narrowed
Okay.
it down to
We
the 3.
force you to drop a color.
We're very fussy about our colors
Yes,
here.
yes.
Okay, I think it looks great.
Thank
you.
I think it
Oh,
looks,
Mark's
yeah,
fine.
that's
Sorry.
all right. Looks great as well.
Yeah. Scott?
All good.
Can I suggest we are appropriately fussy about our colors, not
Consistently
overly
fussy.
fussy?
2 additional colors would have really helped my Four Seasons logo look
That ain't gonna
real
happen,
polished.
no.
Yes, I've heard.
And what's the name mean? Is there a reason behind the name? Seasons? And you have the
Yes, I'll give you the short version. I lived in California where we didn't experience the seasons as much as we do here. I realized when I moved back how much I missed the seasons. And I think in parenting and in life, there's lots of different seasons that you experience. So in my line of work, it's kind of both reminiscent of my own, individual path as well as a reminder to parents that anything you're experiencing is just temporary. It's part of those seasons. So
I like that. I like that a lot.
Very nice.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve case A-22-2024 Seasons Therapy Group as submitted?
Krillenberger, so motions.
Do we have a second?
Curry second.
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Curry,
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger,
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi, Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Chairman Cashman.
Aye. Welcome back and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, our next order of business is case A-8-2024, U Chicago Medicine Advent Health, 120 North Oak Street. Sign permit review and major adjustment to the plan development to allow for changes to hospital campus signage. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back. Pardon me while I pop in some drive in here.
Cynthia, or not Cynthia, Bethany, one thing I would comment to our IT people, if you watch these back, watch videos on our website, you can't read anything
From the screens.
on the screen. The
I've noticed.
resolution's not high enough, because I liked how they were, before they used to not it was just this video of us.
Yeah.
And now they're rolling in what's being proposed, or,
Yep.
but you can't read it.
I think it's been that way for years. I think it requires some upgrades
Okay.
from
well,
what
I
I've
would
been
encourage
told.
the board to upgrade the video system, because it's kind of worthless as a citizen if you can't read what's being presented.
Right, I would concur.
Yeah. I mean, you can make out people, but that's it. Thank you.
I apologize, but this is,
So there's a thing, plug it into this right here.
thank you. That's- There it is. All right.
Well, you're getting that set. Bethany, great job on the packet. I loved how you went back and did a summary of the meeting history and the main points, which was
That was
very
cool.
long, rambling
We had
meeting,
quite a
so
long
I'm sure
conversation.
you must have watched it back a few times. But it was really helpful for that, to see that summary that was on page 5.
Yeah.
And then after that introduction of the major topics, then you kind of went side by side, which I thought was great. It takes a complicated packet and makes it more understandable. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure it took more than 30 minutes.
So for those of you that weren't here last time, my name is Gary Potts. I am the owner of Professional Permits. Our offices are at 58171 Dragonfly Court in Osceola, Indiana. Here tonight on behalf of U Chicago Medicine, as well as Stratus, who is their sign vendor. I also have with me Mr. Adam Aycock, who is the regional CEO of Advent Health, Mr. Ben Lehman, who is a COO of Advent Health, and Kurt Martz, who is regional director of facilities. And they can answer any questions about the operations or anything that maybe questions that I don't know as a sign vendor that they can answer on behalf of the hospital.
Okay.
So what I would like to do tonight is, from our last meeting, we went through the packet, we took your comments back, and I've got some highlighted what's changed from our last meeting. So I will just go through by sign, but I kind of grouped together what's changing if they're similar, so that we don't have to spend all night here going through sign by sign unless you have a particular question.
Well, first is introduction,
Yes,
following
sir.
on our comment about colors just a moment ago with the last applicant. I appreciate you going back and considering that, and that was a major overriding change, is that basically we're just going to be 5 sign types that would have 4 colors, and the rest would be 3 colors.
Let me
Correct.
pull this
Signs
full
1,
screen.
2, 3, 8, and 10 would have 4, and you'd ask for a waiver for that.
Correct.
in compliance with what was previously approved. And then the other signs would all just be 3 colors.
Yeah, so sign 1, we reduced the height from 12 feet to 11 feet based on your feedback. We reduced the number of colors from 10 to 4. And the total square footage as a result of the height coming down, the total square footage went down from 63.3 to 58.8. Signs 2 and 3, oh, I'm sorry.
Back to.
Back to sign 1
Yeah,
also.
I appreciate, Bethany, that you reached out to the police department and fire department to review that. And if they have no concerns, safety concerns, I certainly don't. And
So we also, I'm sorry, Mr. Cashman, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm glad that we went through that process, 'cause
Also, in the packet in the upper left-hand corner, I added the variances per sign. I think Mr. Moore asked
Yeah.
for me to list all the variances that we were asking for per sign, so we put that on there. So you can see that in your packet. You're right, it is kind of hard to read from here. Signs 2 and 3 are similar in design. We reduced the overall height again from 8 feet to 7 feet, reduced the number of colors from 10 to 4. The 4th color is the emergency red. So that's why we have 4 colors instead of 3 on those signs. And then the square footage also reduced from 33 to 28.9.
and thank you for making those smaller. I appreciate that.
Signs 4, 7, 9, 13, and 14, we reduced the colors from 9 to 3. Everything else remains the same with those particular signs. Sign 6 is the emergency sign. Took the feedback back from the board. We changed the emergency. We added the Copland Center. I think if you remember last time, Copland Center and the Advent logo was at the top, and now we've just put emergency Copland Center with the directional arrow. Simplify the message because, again, it's an emergency. We want people to get there quickly and to identify it. So that was a reduction of colors from 10 to 3. Sign 7, we already talked about this. It's a reduction in colors from 9 to 3. Sign 8 and 10 everything is the same with the exception we changed the colors from 10 to 4. And sign 12, which is on the parking entrance, that went from the number of colors from 8 down to 2. Basically everything is black on white on that now. We did have the logo colors all spelled out before, but we reduced that down so that no longer needs any sort of relief for the colors. And then the only other sign that I wanted to talk about, and if you have any questions on any of these, I'll be more than happy to go back, but nothing else changed on any of those other signs. But sign 25, the sign does remain unchanged. It is red. We left it halo lit. I think some of the board member comments were asking why we didn't do internally illuminated. We wanted to kind of balance out the fact that it's facing a residential community, but at the same time, we also need to make it visible to the public that needs it for emergency purposes. Mr. Maycock did go meet with some of the neighbors regarding the sign based on the feedback that we got, that Bethany had received. And also talking about the screening of the parking lot, I think that was a concern as well. We do, again, want to stress the sign is halo lit, and it's also on a dimmer. So if the illumination, even on halo, is still too much, we can reduce it down. We feel it's important for the sign to be quickly visible, however, and to those potential that need life-saving needs. And we understand that we need to strike a delicate balance between serving the public while doing so neighboring a residential setting, which is why we have notified the surrounding property owners. We didn't have to do that, but we felt it's important to let them know these are the sign changes that we're making so we can get some feedback from them and not just push a sign package through. As a result of Mr. Maycock's meetings, we are going to plant boxwoods along the sidewalk there. I think the feedback was some of the vegetation that was previously there had died off and was never replaced. And the headlights from cars pulling in and out of that parking lot there by the emergency room were kind of coming across when they were turning. So we're going to replace with some boxwoods there that'll give them year-round screening of the lights from the automobiles. And we just want to be good neighbors as much as possible. And our hope is that the board will see this as a good faith effort and recommend approval of our request, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, would you guys want to, we could talk, go through any questions, or we could listen to and get feedback from the neighbors?
Do neighbors first.
Yeah, let's do
Okay,
neighbors first.
okay, that'd be helpful. 'Cause I see some people in the back here, so I'm assuming they're here for a reason.
All right, my name's Kristen Forden. I live directly across the street in 317. So my house literally looks right into the emergency room. We've got 3 bedrooms and a living room also that goes like, you know, we can see. In the summer, it's great. We've got the trees. It's not a problem. We moved from the city, so we weren't really too concerned about this. But I loved your comment when you said the lights go out in Hinsdale at 9 o'clock. Not at the hospital, they don't, though. I'm full aware of that. But you know what? I did go into my office today. I work in the city, and as I thought maybe we would be first, and then I realized we weren't. So I wrote a few things down while everybody was talking. So if I could just read it?
Sure.
Okay. Let me put my glasses on. Okay, as I said, we have 3 bedrooms plus a living room, family room that faces the emergency room. A bright light would certainly be intrusive in our home. Always wondered why this is true. I always wondered why the emergency room entrance isn't near the front of the hospital off the well-traveled street as opposed to where it is now. Because I do see people, you know, traveling quickly, and there's not a stoplight or a stop sign at Walnut and Elm. And so there's people walking their dogs, there's children going to school. I'm like, why? I never understood why it's down this little street and then you take a little left, and you know, sometimes people miss that first left and they go down, you know, to the other entrance where the parking is. It just seems so backwards to me. I mean, that just for some reason I never really understood that. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that. I think, I do have another thought. Since I do take the train and I'm passing, you know, I take the train down by Highlands, and I'm always like, why? I don't understand why the emergency room entrance wouldn't be at the front of the hospital where, you know, it just makes so much sense. It's like, this is where the action is. So then I started thinking a while back, I wonder why that parking lot where employees park their cars all day long, you know, it's a one-way park, why that isn't just used as a emergency entrance driveway right to the emergency room, you know what I mean? So you're coming off Oak, and all of a sudden, if that's open and people aren't parked there, that's where people would go. And, you know, I don't know, that's just another thought that I had. I just don't understand why this hospital's been here for 100 years and all of a sudden, you know.
Was the old wood bridge here when you moved in?
I'm sorry?
Was the old wood bridge there?
So we moved here almost 4 years ago.
Okay, so it was gone, yeah. There used to be a
Yeah.
1-lane wood bridge that couldn't
Did it?
handle an ambulance. It
Yeah.
was a crazy old
So
bridge.
maybe that, I mean, like I said, I don't know any of the history. We love it here. We just think it's such a sweet community. We've been welcomed so much. My husband and I are empty nesters with our first grandchild, and they're in Downers Grove, and we just feel so blessed to live here. And so this is, I didn't know about the first meeting. I think we were out of town. We do travel a bit, so, and my husband was at a golf thing today, so he just texted me, but obviously he's not gonna make this meeting. He's got a few things to say too. He's a builder by trade, and we're just kind of like, also, when you said something, you didn't really need to tell the neighbors about that sign isn't really helping people that are looking. I mean, they can see maybe the sign if they're passing it, but they're mostly looking for landmarks. They're not really looking up at the building. Where's the emergency room sign? It just seems kind of, the one that's there right now seems perfectly suitable. I mean, you know, that's my thought on that. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm rambling here. Hold on one second. Let's see, I said, I think the one-way parking lot should be the driveway to the emergency room. That way the emergency vehicles will be taken off the local streets where people are always walking. So are children. When people are searching for the emergency room, they are often distracted with good reason. Also, Walnut and Elm, there is no stop sign, which can be dangerous for emergency vehicles and pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists. A new bright sign that would replace a blue sign that still faces the street still is a hidden entrance. I mean, they're still looking for an entrance, so that's the problem. If the point is to save time and confusion with emergencies, why isn't the entrance to the emergency room off the main road? I just covered that. There are no neighbors across that street from the main entrance. The hospital has been in Hinsdale for over 100 years. Come on, let's not ruin this beautiful little hospital that has been nestled within our sweet community just because of new owners. If you really want to be progressive, change the emergency room entrance to the front of the building where there are no neighbors across the street. That will save time and be more helpful to emergency vehicles. Until you can do that, I propose that everything stays the same until that comes to fruition. I was getting a little tired. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. But I appreciate you listening to me, and whatever you guys decide, I'm sure it'll be in the best interest of us. So thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, I'm Jay Simo. Thanks, Kristen. I live at 325 East Walnut Street, which is basically right across from the hospital emergency entrance. Actually, I live in the house that was where the president of the hospital used to live. And then he moved out of there, and they built the house behind me, and then the president of the hospital moved there, and then they sold that, and they moved. So, because as you know, that whole land used to be owned by the Adventists. So we've lived there 27 years. This is my wife, Cindy, and I, and my other neighbor, Alex, right here. Raised 3 daughters, went to the Lane, Clarendon Hills Middle School, Hinsdale Central. Great community, great place. I want to thank Bethany for talking to us about this whole situation. So just two points. One is the sign that Kristen had mentioned. So when the emergency room was redone like 15 years ago, the Planning Commission let them have a sign there, but it was in green patina. It said walk-in entrance. And that's what it says now, and it's backlit in white. So our first preference was just, 1, keep it like it is. 2, if you can't do that, maybe change the name to emergency, but keep the green patina, right? And then the third thing is I talked to Adam, who's been very nice, by the way, the president of the hospital. He's a great guy. He was my neighbor for a while. And then they changed it to emergency, and they had a red LED behind it, and I think they changed it to a white LED, which they can dim it, because before it was red, I think, Bethany. So that's the third choice. So the first choice would be keep it like it is. Second choice would be say emergency, but green patina. And then the third choice would be what they propose. So that's our recommendation. And then the next thing is that I've been in commercial real estate my whole life. So I managed Oak Brick Regency Towers, Mid-America Plaza, all these buildings in Chicago. So I've dealt a lot with the villages. I've done a lot with tenants, the community, residents, about signage and all those different things. So I realize what you guys are up against and what you're up against too. So, the thing we always kind of went into it was, okay, we're gonna maintain the exterior of the building, the signage, the landscaping, the parking, the way it looks, first class, look like it's properly maintained, because how you look on the outside is how our building's viewed on the inside. So if it's not looking good on the outside, people think, well, they don't take good care of the building. So for a hospital, I think that's more important than anywhere. So it's got to look good so that people go, yeah, I can go to the hospital there. I know they'll take good care of me because they take good care of the outside. So lately, the hospital hasn't been doing a good job on Walnut Street. Whenever anything dies, as far as like trees or bushes, they just cut them down. They don't replace them. So it's getting more and more vacant, and they need to protect the parking from the residents on Walnut Street. So that was my second ask. So first ask is if you could think about the signage for that one sign. The rest of them, you guys, I think your comments are great as far as keeping the numbers down. There's a lot of names across that too. University of Chicago Medical, it's just a lot. But I guess there's only so much you can do.
It's great for sign companies.
Yeah. So that's one, and then number 2 is you know, the landscaping, the appearance of the outside, so, that's my two asks.
What are your thoughts, like this is red backlit, though, isn't it?
You know, I think, did they change?
Here's a better,
Just gonna get on the screen.
if you take a look at it up close. you can see.
It does still, it is red. I spoke with Dan from Stratus today. It is showing in our latest packet as red LED, but he said that we can change it to white
And you'd prefer
LED.
white?
And
Okay.
I guess your opinion too, but it's a big white, that red kind of looks like, rubbing around it, it's like, oh shit.
It's an emergency. Versus white's like, it's an emergency.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Well, ironically.
Sorry about my language.
Back in the day, that's where the emergency entrance was. There was a curb cut there along Walnut. I
Yes.
remember like being dragged there bleeding. That's where you went in. And I'm sure it was because of the bridge being there that just made more sense.
Yep.
Years ago, they literally changed the curb cuts at the railroad tracks and Chicago Avenue to allow emergency vehicles to make a better turn, and then they did that curb cut on
I see.
Elm. I mean, I think it's been an evolving thing, trying to improve access. And then finally, we got rid of the old wood bridge, so now we have better access from that side. But it is odd, but I think it's just an old hospital, and you make do with
Yeah,
what
because
you do.
Kristen
But
makes a good point.
as far as I know, the
Right.
emergency room's been down there for as long as I can remember.
Ozzy's
Yeah, in that
sold me
corner.
Yeah.
So since the
Four stitches
sixties,
out.
it's been there.
Because I,
And
you
then
know,
what-
when I
on
cut my,
landscaping-
I cut my lawn and stuff and things in the front, people don't like stop and say, hey, where's the emergency room? I don't see that problem. You know, so I don't think that's a problem. I think when they see walk-in entrance or they see emergency in green patina, it's gonna have the same effect as that red right there. That's my personal opinion, so.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear that the proposal is white halo.
Right.
What about the landscaping? They were talking about putting in, I can't remember what type of landscaping they were talking about. Boxwoods?
Yeah,
I was
oh,
just
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah.
Let me hit escape here.
I mean, what you'd really like, if, you know, in a perfect world, is you'd like tall trees, right? Like normal Elmhurst, hanging over the
Blocking the
streets.
emergency side?
Yeah, blocking the- but you know, like hanging over the street and, you know,
Yeah.
like Elmhurst, excuse me, like Hinsdale looks everywhere else,
Yeah.
so.
I sent that to Bethany. I just got it. I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
you guys have seen it yet. I don't think you did.
Yeah, I haven't
Bethany,
seen
you
it.
didn't get
I
that
think it was in
before,
the
did you?
online package, right?
It's not in this packet, but
It was online, okay.
Online, I
Yeah.
think it is.
I mean, that's very helpful. I mean,
Okay.
that is.
And I would just encourage like, to continue dialogue with your old neighbor.
Yeah.
If
Agree.
there's issues there.
I want to add one thing. There are, as a matter of fact, on Sunday. I was
Could you
out-
come up here? Just,
Oh,
we
sure.
need to pick it up on the microphones.
On Sunday, I was out pulling weeds, and an older couple got out and they took a taxi to the emergency room, and they got let out, and this happens, Jay probably doesn't see it because he's a little bit further down, right out in front of my house, and they traveled down like the berm, and he was trying to help her. So this sign, I feel like, is somewhat confusing to people because they're like, all right, where's the, even though it says it, they really don't know how to get in at times, you know what I'm saying? It seems like, you know,
Is that the sign on the corner?
no, it's the sign like right.
Oh, there.
Cause it's literally, so oftentimes people get out of the car in front of my house, which is fine, listen, I lived in the city, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there are people actually going down the berm, you know, to get into the emergency room.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, maybe the sign, I believe there
Wonder where
should be a
Google
sign
Maps
there,
takes
all
you.
for saving lives. I actually had to use it not very long ago, but you know, I just think it needs to be like fit into the aesthetics of the neighborhood, that's all, so.
Thank you.
You're very right.
Yep.
And then one more thing, Alex just brought that up. So, I mean, don't be wrong, but those are 3 bushes. I mean, it should go all the way up Walnut Street, you know.
To the east?
To Oak.
To Oak.
To Oak,
That would be
yeah.
nice.
There's stuff that's missing?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The trees die, they just let them go. Bushes die, they just let them go. And I realize, you know, it's a hospital, they're not thinking that way all the time, but they need to replace all that stuff to, I think, fit in with the community and make the village look good.
So they would buffer the parking lot too, and like
There's
the
a little
lights
parking
that you
strip
get?
there.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
It's probably a tough
Headlights coming
spot
in.
because you got salt spray from the road, you got
Yeah.
salt
Right.
spray from the parking,
Mhm.
a little strip of landscaping. It's probably a tough
Yeah.
area to keep going.
And,
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
I didn't mean to
sorry,
interrupt.
sorry.
We will continue that on. Anything that, where the headlights keep coming across the property, we'll continue the boxwoods on down.
All the way down to Oak would be great, that'd be awesome. Right. Okay.
Anyone else? speak on this matter? Okay.
How tall will the boxwoods be?
That is a fantastic question.
About
I
3
am
feet.
not a landscaper, but those are probably 3 to 4 feet.
Yeah. I have some of those.
Because the parking lot is
Okay.
recessed on that berm,
Yeah.
so
Right.
you're gonna gain a little bit. But boxwoods typically, because I have them at my house, they typically
Right.
get about waist high. That's about it. Unless you.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah,
so-
I
Oh,
would say
okay.
I
I was-
have more boxwood than you would even want.
Yeah.
And they never get that tall.
I was
mean,
gonna
mine
say,
get
they-
trimmed, but they are not a
Those
plant
are
that
the
is,
beating.
an arborvitae is gonna be taller, but not a boxwood.
Right, arborvitae would be better.
Are we-
Yeah. Better? Yes.
I mean, they're beautiful, but
What you got
And I
in
think
not-
Yeah.
whatever the board wants us to plant.
Especially if you want to screen the headlights. it's-
Arborvitae would be
Right.
denser.
Yeah.
Yeah, they grow about a
Yes.
foot a year, 6 inches to a foot a year.
I'll introduce myself real quick. Ben
Welcome.
Lehman, Chief Operating Officer for our Hinsdale and LaGrange hospitals. I have a long family history with the village of Hinsdale myself. My mother was a ward of the state, and in the 1960s was admitted to the Hinsdale School of Nursing out of foster care. It gave her what became a 42-year-long nursing career, and so had a very, very broad family history with the village of Hinsdale around that time and continuing on for the following decades as well. So how we work with the village of Hinsdale is not only professional, but also very personal to me. Hinsdale has and always will be a very special place to me. We will commit to whatever we need to do between, we have a berm that does continue up the street. We will commit to whatever we need to do to ensure that those headlights do not reach across to the neighbors. So between the berm and plantings, we'll ensure that we get that done and continue to be a good neighbor.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, and questions by the group?
On
Scott?
any sign, can I change to a different sign? Because I was the one that asked about sign number 10, and I asked about a setback on that because of its proximity. Sign 10 is up the street a little bit on Walnut. It's on the east side of Oak, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's by the access to the parking garage.
Right, and it's not, I was hoping that it could get set back a
That
little
one there.
bit because you've got that tree and then you've got where that person's walking and we've got kids on, that's a street that goes down to a park
At Pierce Park.
where all the baseball fields are and everything else. And I was hoping that we could move that sign to the right because if I'm not mistaken, that's a sign for staff mostly.
Team member parking, yeah.
It's team member parking, so it's kind of an internal staff parking sign as opposed to people from the outside world coming to your facility. And I was hoping that we could move it back. It doesn't have to go back 10 feet to,
Sure.
to code, but even if we could get it back a few feet, just
Like
to.
the width of the sign back?
Yeah,
It's about
just,
4
just so
feet.
that there's a better sight line for cars,
Yeah.
so that we don't, you would hate to have somebody get hurt.
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
they're not
That would be
A
convenient.
hospital doesn't want to cause the problem, they want to solve it, right?
It's good for business.
I once got hurt at the corner of
So
Walnut and
that,
Elm.
that was why I was
From my
asking for that
arm
Right.
last
side of the
time,
corridor.
and I was just hoping you.
Yeah, and I did
So I
ask
just
them if they
walked to
had
the emergency
experienced
room.
anything to that effect,
Yeah,
like
right.
any,
No.
any visibility, and they didn't, but we can certainly move it back. That's fine.
Is that fair? Thank you.
You know, as for our employee parking, we don't typically wait time for employee parking. I think that's just to
Right.
identify, so
Ex-
I would agree with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably to keep non-employees from parking there.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
That's a
Thank you.
deterrent then.
Non-team members.
Better parking for our community members that choose to visit the hospital. That is not their preferred parking.
Right, yeah.
And then on sign 12,
So what was, sorry, how far back were we moving it?
I don't know, how far back, what do you guys think?
I think
how about
one
4
sign
feet?
width seems to
Another
make
Sign
sense,
width.
however.
So
Yeah,
that
4 or 5
was,
feet. Yeah.
4 feet to the south. Does that seem doable?
yeah.
That's fine.
4 feet to the south, okay.
And
So
then
it's
on
sign 10?
Yeah, and on
Okay.
sign 12, it said in the packet that the site plan has been revised to include an arrow for sign 12, and I didn't see the arrow. Was it not in this? It could just be that I'm not seeing the arrow, I just don't know where it is.
Yeah, no,
the arrow was
added. Sign 12.
On the site plan itself.
Yeah. Was that the packet from, this was printed from online?
It's right there.
Yeah.
It's, you can't see it.
It's on both of them,
I can
that
see-
one and the next, and the one before it.
Let me try to zoom in.
Yeah, you can see it. See, E1, sign 12.
All right, great, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, Thank you.
I was gonna say, we didn't get that, did we?
No, it's in here, I just printed this out separately. I like it.
And it was great to watch you guys work together. You guys, that was great.
Yeah.
So I just want to compliment everybody here. That was very, very well done by all parties. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other, let's see, Anna? Working our way down the line.
Are we asking questions or
Yep.
comments?
Got some comments on anything?
As for the emergency sign,
Number is 25.
25, I think the walk-in entrance language is confusing. I think it needs to say emergency.
Especially since there's a line of hedges there.
Yeah. You know, red's obviously standard emergency color.
But they're gonna propose it would be white.
The,
The lighting.
the letters would be
Back.
red, the
Yeah, but
back,
at night it would
the
be
halo
white.
would be
Yeah,
white.
right. But I'm saying versus the green.
Yeah.
I prefer the red.
Gotcha.
And then just for the record, I think sign 12 is very busy. But I get it. You have to have,
All the players have to be represented.
yeah, you have to give people their credit where credit's due.
You drop main entrance and really confuse people.
They're already confused. They're already confused. Yeah.
Just teasing.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, the red, I think makes sense. The white backlight I think would be an improvement, so it doesn't look like, bright red glowing light. So I think that's good. I'm all for the landscaping improvements, even from a road safety perspective. I mean, I drive down that road all the time, and people are sitting in the cars, and with the new LED lights is blinding when you're going down the road. If somebody's sitting there with their lights pointing right out at the road, so I think that would definitely be a strong.
So up to
recommendation.
Oak.
Yeah, all the way up to,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So,
Great. Thanks, Mark. Julie?
I really like all the suggestions. Especially the landscaping. I think that'll really help the neighbors with the headlights coming in. I think it'll really split that corner up too.
I agree.
So thank you for making those changes. And I want to thank the neighbors for coming out, and that's so important to us, to know if there's any problems or concerns. And I mean, look at how great everybody came to a solution tonight.
Good. Thanks, Julie. Jerry?
First, I'm glad I wasn't here for the original meeting, because it sounds like it went until 11 o'clock at night.
That was very convenient of you.
There were only two on the agenda, and it wasn't
when you delayed your
that,
flight.
it wasn't
Yeah.
bad.
Another
I was
week.
coming back. But thanks, Bethany, for sorting this out. Thanks for all your work, because when I looked at this packet, for a fair amount of time, I thought, well, this will be a short one, and clearly the first one wasn't. So thanks all you guys. I like it all.
Thanks, Jerry. Jim?
Yeah, I agree with Jerry and Scott Moore, the hearing about the evolution and the changes in colors, the way you guys have made this work within the context of the code and the rules and with consideration of the neighbors. It's a case study in how to do signage, so I have no comments.
Thank you.
Cynthia?
I've lived here all my life. I've never confused the emergency walk-in with the ambulance, and I brought this up at the other meeting, but.
Right.
Is there a reason you can't do emergency over where the walk-in area, and, I mean, I would imagine ambulances are coming from other places. The emergency, would that be helpful to know?
I would defer to them as far as how things come in triage, coming in emergency, but I'm sure that Ben can answer that a lot better than the sign guy can.
When I used it,
mistake,
I
but-
actually was not an ambulance, I was a walk-in.
And you walked in over there.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
I'm happy to answer that question. We see about 100 or so emergency patients each day that come in, both through municipal ambulances as well as through the walk-in entrance. So there are about 100 patients that do come in on an average day through the Hinsdale Emergency Department, through both of those entrances. So obviously, helping wayfind those folks appropriately so that we minimize the time between their emergency and the care is of utmost importance.
Like I said to you, my thought, the one that faces Walnut that we've been talking about, 25.
Right, right.
I've always thought that that's kind of like for people that live in town, that you drive by, you know, you say you're new, you see, and you go, oh, that's where the emergency room is, and you
Right,
know.
right.
And then obviously the ambulances know where they're going.
Right.
You know, but I think it's just kind of like the plant, you see that corner of the building, that's the emergency room. So if something happens, you're driving yourself, or you're walking or whatever, that's where you go.
Right.
It's, back in the day, that was the road, the curb cut was there. You didn't
Right.
come off of Elm.
Right.
I think off of Elm makes more sense where the emergency vehicles are coming from, because it always seems to be like coming down Chicago Avenue, there's a lot of traffic coming from Clarendon Hills, Downers,
Yes.
coming to Hinsdale Hospital from that direction.
Yes.
Down Garfield.
A lot of the
Yeah.
municipalities actually follow the train tracks
Yes.
Yeah.
and then come into the hospital on the backside.
Tri-State.
Yes.
I have sat out
Yeah,
in front of the
Garfield, right.
fire station with my grandson for hours.
Watching them
Doing
go by.
this, right?
Oh, and they wave at him, and he's just so thrilled.
The
you know,
grandson
it's-
is thrilled, but the ears are a little
Yes,
assaulted.
the ears are.
Yeah. I like
And I
the
will
idea
say
that they can
the-
dim it and backlight it, so,
Okay.
you know, it plants a seed in your mind, but does it need to be shining in the neighbor's bedroom? No, you know, so I feel like this is,
Okay.
it gets the message across, but it's really, I think, for us,
Right.
the locals.
Right.
And just to reiterate the point, both entrances are of critical importance. If you'll recall, we had the unfortunate shooting event that took place in a party in Westmont late last year. We had a number of folks that drove themselves in. And so that drive-in, excuse me, that walk-in capability, that walk-in identification is of critical importance when we think about a trauma situation as well. Most of those patients do come in via municipal ambulances, but many do still drive themselves in or have a caregiver drive themselves in. So that dual identification really is of critical importance.
Okay.
Thank you for considering.
Thank you.
Anything else, Cynthia?
No, that's it.
Laura?
So my question is again with this emergency sign, given that they are on dimmers, and that the proposed letters being a different color from what they were before, if, once everything goes in, if the residents feel like, wow, this is just brighter than what we had been anticipating, brighter than how it seems currently, what is their path to addressing it? Who should they talk to?
They should talk to Kurt, Adam, or myself.
Okay,
And we're committed to having those lights be controllable so that as they go in, we will mute them throughout the day so that it does not become offensive to the neighbors.
okay.
If you could come up here so we could hear, record it.
I just want to just make clear, I think they're red letters, but they're not translucent. In other words, they're red letters, and then behind them is a white LED, so it'd be like a reflection from behind.
Right.
So you're gonna have a dimmer on the white, right?
On the white.
Right?
Yes.
So during the day, they won't light up,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Right, okay, yeah, and then you have a control on the
We'll
white.
have control for the night lighting.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And the letters are still red. It's
Correct.
just that the halo effect is, instead of red, now is white.
Anything else, Laura?
No.
One comment, just on the landscaping, I would just, because I know the way it was planted, and it was like a combination of shrubs and trees. Instead of just all being shrubs, I'd like to see the shrubs to block the headlights, but it'd be nice if there's trees that have gone, to plant some new saplings along there, so that, back to your comment, that as it grows in, it would have more of an aesthetic to it versus just a screen of shrubs. You know, I think both, I think it was a mix before, and it'd be nice to see that go back in.
Yeah, and we'll commit to having a landscape architect come in and put some thoughtful planning to that.
Okay, great.
That's great.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments by the, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Do I have a motion to approve case A-8-2024 for 120 North Oak Street with sign 25 being halo white backlit versus red. Sign 10 being moved 4 feet to the south, with landscaping to be added to block parking lights along Walnut on the entire length from elm to oak, with some mix of trees also. What else have we had? Was there?
Do we need a height for the arborvitae, or?
No, it just needs to block, it's in our ordinance, but it needs to block, they need like 3 feet high to block the headlights.
And staff would recommend that we get some specificity from them before we go to the village board,
Yeah,
so we can have
if
those
you'd like to, I mean, you
plans
could
amended.
get a drawing from your landscape architect together and send it to Bethany, and I could take a look at it.
The 6-footers aren't that much more. I would like to specify 6.
Yeah,
They
3
only
feet's
grow
not
6
much.
inches to a foot a year.
We would ask, and let me step back up, I
Sorry.
apologize. We want to block the headlights. We also want to be very sensitive to not blocking the signage. And so we would ask that we keep those, obviously sufficient to block the headlights, but not blocking any signage.
Correct.
That's fair.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
prune them on the top occasionally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you got
Thank you.
some in your property.
Yeah,
don't you?
I ripped them out. They got so big.
Was there any other modification? No? Do I have a motion to approve it as discussed?
So move more.
We have a second?
Second, Willoughby.
Roll call vote, please, Bethany?
Commissioner Harlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Curry,
Aye.
Commissioner Krillenberger,
Aye.
Commissioner Jablonski,
Aye.
Commissioner Cernovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Willoughby,
Aye.
Commissioner Fiasconi,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Chairman Cashman.
Aye. Thank you, good luck. I would like to comment, I do think it was a nice, even though you were lucky to have missed the first pass, I think for a complicated signage program, it was put together in a way that even when we went through it the first time, we were able to manage it. And
Yes.
you did a great job presenting.
Yeah.
And I
Yes,
really
you
appreciate it.
did, and so did Bethany.
Yeah,
And putting the variances in helped a ton.
yeah, it was
Like,
really
okay, now I know
thoughtful,
what I'm
and
voting on.
you took a complicated thing and made it digestible.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
If you really want to feel good about yourself,
I
you need
did
to
the
people
work.
at the Cancer Center go back at least 6 times.
Yeah, we were in a lot of reviews. Countless.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Go back at least.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Refuse to listen.
Seconded? Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. That's cute. We got a picture of you.
Are we adjourned?
Scott, are you?
Oh, we need to make, Scott, you need to make a motion.
Don't go.
We used to, that's funny, like boys, like Charlie used to hate. Can't remember when LaGrange was the place he got his haircut was along the railroad tracks.